Well, Tuchel was very unhappy following Chelsea's defeat to Leeds and will be demanding a much-improved performance this weekend when Leicester travel to Stamford Bridge. The away side themselves have had a poor start to the season with only 1 point from their 3 games. Yeah, both sides come into this match really in need of a win, aren't they? And in the last hour, we have heard the news that Thomastuchel will be serving his 1-match ban from the dugout in this game. So he will not be in the dugout at Stamford Bridge when they face Leicester. However, he is allowed at the ground, he's allowed to do the team talk, he's allowed to speak to the players, he just won't be allowed in the dugout. How's that going to affect the game, Jermaine?
I've been in situations in the past where I've had, obviously, naturally, managers on the touchline, and it's so easy for them to get their point across. When they're in the stands, they're on the headsets talking to the assistant manager, and the time difference between the manager passing the message on to the coach and the coach getting the message on to the players on the field, the momentum has already swung and the pendulum's already swung, and the moment may have already passed. So it's vital that whoever's on the touchline, coaches, assistant coaches, get the point across as quickly as possible to make the most of it, to make it work.
Well, it's not ideal, is it? Especially off the back of what was, to everyone else apart from former Leeds striker Jermaine Beckford, a surprise result against Leeds last weekend. Was that a blip, or is this kind of evidence of something a bit more deeply rooted at Chelsea that's going wrong?
I think it was a little bit of a blip. I'm basing that on the performance against Spurs the game before. I think that game was fantastic. There was so much energy, determination. And everything went right for him, you know. But as we mentioned with the Manchester United team, the work rate, the first thing that they had to work on was work rate, and they didn't seem to do that in the Leeds game.
You know that we've been talking about this. You know about a weakness on the Chelsea goalkeeper that they were able to exploit. I
do, and in the first clip there, the first goal, Brendan Aronson closed down Mendy, managed to pinch the ball off him right on literally a yard outside of goal and scored. And I was speaking to Brendan a few days ago, and I said to him, for what reason was it that you gave, what reason did you close him down in the manner in which you did without compensating to try and block the clearance? And he said to me, well, a few minutes prior to that incident, Mendy tried to do the exact same thing to Dan James, and Dan James went for it. But in Brendan's mind, he said, OK, no problem. So I see that you're confident on the ball. You're going to try and chop the ball back onto your left foot and play it out to your left back. Brendan didn't give him that opportunity, so he won the ball off him and managed to score very easily. And
conceding goals has become a real issue for Chelsea in their last 30 matches. If we look at the 60 games that Thomastuchel has been in charge of the club, in the first 30, they conceded just 17 goals. In the last 30, that has exactly doubled. They've now conceded 34. What's that down to, Darren? What's happened here?
Here with the stats, Jules. I was just about to mention that. So.
I got there first, yes.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. That is the reason why I think this is going to be a very tricky game. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, I did the predictions, and I actually predicted Chelsea to win this, but I'm not certain about it at all, because I think as far as the defence is concerned, there is a weakness that bleeds into last season, and he doesn't know how to solve that picture. So that's probably the right picture that you've picked of him for this graphic. I think as far as Koulibaly is concerned, he doesn't provide that organisation, but he's not going to be available because he was sent off. He doesn't yet have that missing piece of the jigsaw, that third defender that he's trying to sign.
Well, it adds an extra element to this game because, of course...
The Fofana derby, of course.
Yeah.
But I think as far as he is concerned, Tuchel, it's going to put pressure on him this season, because you can only use the fact that he's had to be involved in transfers so far. And then eventually, if they start to fall away, and for us guys in the media, this is a fabulous season because you've got all of the top 6, the established top 6 in rude health. You've got United, maybe the pulse is still beating a little bit. But if Chelsea are losing their way, that's a really fascinating subplot given the amount of money they've spent.
Your former club Leicester as well, Jermaine. What kind of season are you expecting them to have after the way it started and the way their transfer window has gone? Based on the key players, Kasper Schmeichel leaving, the
hoo-ha around Wesley Fofana as well, you would have to say it's not looking too bright, especially with no signings linked with the club at the moment, at present. And you could see in the interview Brendan Rodgers gave a short moment ago, the frustration is starting to creep in with him a little bit as well, with what's going on with the lack of transfers, the lack of funds available. Sorry. So I just hope they're able to utilise Jamie Vardy as much as they can while they can. Patson Daka, I hope he hits the ground running as well. But we're talking about relying on somebody that is known for his explosive pace in Jamie Vardy, but he's also getting older. So that explosive pace is not necessarily going to be there for as long as Leicester City possibly need it to be. Maddison is a fantastic football player, but, you know, you can't rely upon these few key players for the duration of the season every season, because sooner or later they're going to go for a dry spell where it just doesn't work for them, and you need the rest of the players to kind of help out or get those fresh legs in.
Do you think it might be a case of, once the transfer window closes, because there's been so many rumours around the club about who might leave, who's going to stay, who's still going to be in a Leicester shirt or not, once that window closes, do you think everything just might settle down?
I'm not so sure.
No.
I'm not so sure. I think there are players who want to go. James Maddison obviously has interest from elsewhere. Yuri Tielemans won't sign a new deal. And we all know what's going on with Wesley Fofana. The problem with Wesley
Fofana. Don't worry, I'll help you out.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dream team.
The problem with Wesley Fofana is that once you have that defiance, and by all accounts, and for us in the media, it's quite. We obviously observe what the manager's saying. Brendan Rodgers was saying that when it was Harry Maguire, he was exemplary in his conduct when he knew that Man United wanted to sign him. And he's quite pointed in comparing that to the conduct of Fofana this time around. So clearly there's an issue there. And if you have that open defiance towards the manager and the authority figures within the club, does that affect the other players as well? Does that maybe undermine the manager's position with the other players as well? So there are all sorts of issues, I think, going on there that I don't think will be helped by the window closing. If anything, there's no way of being able to remedy that situation once the window closes.